Hello, Year 7s. Welcome to Year 7 Music. Your teachers for this subject are Mr. Willenberg, Ms. Benvenuti, Mr. Newen. That depends on what class you are in. Straight into it, being your first class during this pandemic, we are moving to online learning. Today, your learning intention is understand how online learning will work for music, know what you will require for Year 7 music, know what you will need to access for these classes, and appreciate the reason for music education. Your success criteria, you'll need to be able to say to yourself, I understand what is required of me in this subject, and I understand the benefits of music education. So for this subject, you will need an exercise book. Now, before this pandemic occurred, you would have probably been told to get a music exercise book, one that has writing lines and music lines. But if you got an exercise book that just has writing lines, that's perfectly okay. You will be using these to take notes down, and I will be asking you guys to take photos from time to time to make sure you are doing the work. You will also need your laptop with the ability to install stuff. So make sure your laptop has plenty of space and it is able to install any software. This is all software that will help with online learning in relation to music. Of course, you will need access to Compass. You should have been able to access Compass to get this video in the first place, and access to YouTube, same deal. You would have needed YouTube to access this video. So, straight into it. Learning tasks will be created in your music subject. So anytime we teach you anything, we will write all the instructions in the lesson plan, and any homework we ask you to do, you will submit in your learning task here. So there will be due dates, so make sure you follow them. Okay, your learning tasks will look like this. If you click on the learning task tab, the tabs will be different on your subject, which, by the way, you would just click into music and there'll be tabs. One will say learning tasks, and there'll be a list of learning tasks that will come up. Depending on the homework we give you or the task we give you, a learning task will appear in relation to that. So all our teaching is going to be done via videos and instructions, which is on which will be on lesson plan. So just making sure you understand that. And all these videos will be on YouTube for you to access. Now, straight into the subject. What is music? This is your first class in music class for Year 7, so we wanted to make sure we get an understanding of what music is before we start teaching it to you, and why music education is important. The aim of these classes is to try to teach you various elements of music, but before we do that, we must set ourselves for understanding the benefits of music education, especially during this pandemic. You may not have noticed how important music is to you, being cooped up at home for several hours every day. So hopefully you have come to that realization already. But I wanted to start with getting into this with some questions that I want you to explore by yourselves. So starting with, what is music to you? So what that might mean is that you could be exposed to music in so many ways. You may have a family or member or several members that play instruments, or you may not. So that's also okay. What music is to you? Do you listen to it? Do you notice it in your day-to-day? Where would you find music in your day-to-day? When we were allowed outside, of course. So you might have noticed it in supermarkets. You might have noticed it as anthems to songs of your favorite sport team. Or you might be listening to music while you're studying, or anything like that. There's benefits to music everywhere, and everything we do. What does music do for people emotionally? Does it trigger you in any way? Give you sad thoughts, maybe happy thoughts, or any other way? But we want to explore this a little bit further. So we do know music has a basic importance in our lives, but I want you guys to explore this a little bit further. Watch the following video to bring more in-depth thinking of the question, why is music education important?
Math, literature, social studies, and science. For years, these subjects have dominated the academic horizon, and rightfully so. They are the fundamental building blocks that our society is built upon. But what if there was another subject that could improve performance in all of these areas? What if there was something that you could study to improve your language skills, critical thinking skills, emotional moderation, and all-around brain function? A proper music education enables success, not only in the art itself, but in all areas, academically and socially. Music is unique. It demands focus, vision, and critical thinking, while promoting individualism and creativity. Music requires you to participate in a mental aerobics of sorts, deciphering the notes and rhythms in one part of the brain and creating beautiful and emotional-filled melodies in the other. Playing an instrument utilizes the visual, auditory, and motor cortices and acts as a mental workout, strengthening the connections between the three areas. Neuroscientists have even found that the corpus callosum, or the link between the left brain and right brain, is much stronger in musicians than in non-musicians. You do not have to be a prodigy or genius to experience the benefits of musicianship either. Scientists have identified several learning disorders that could benefit and be treated with a music education. Our understanding of these disorders show us that they are simply miscommunications between the left and right hemispheres of the brain. ADHD, for example, is a mistiming of neural impulses between three areas of the brain: the visual, auditory, and motor cortices, the very three areas that playing music affects the strongest. So imagine what a consistent workout regimen through music education could do to improve the mental capabilities of a struggling student. It is shown that on average, a recipient of music education's IQ is 7.5 points higher than someone not studying music. It is vital that music education becomes an essential part of the academic curriculum at a young age. Most neuroscientists believe that for maximum benefit, a child should be introduced to musical training before the age of 7 years old. Music quite literally shapes the way that we learn. An experiment was done where 18 babies between 1 to 3 days old were placed inside of an fMRI machine in order to examine their brain activity while being subjected to different types of stimulation. While listening to their mother's voice, the scan showed that all areas of the brain used in musical training were being used by the baby to understand their voices. We use music to understand language, tone, cadence, and emotion. We are innately musical beings, so encouraging that growth can only make us better people and scholars. Music is not just an art. It's an idea. You hear a melody and it moves you. It makes you feel emotions. The notes and rhythms imply things, but it's up to the listener to give that meaning. Music is abstract. It doesn't need anything outside of itself to be understood. Music empowers people to create and experience things that they would have no means of experiencing otherwise. Music can build you up or tear you down. It is a powerful force that needs to be understood. It stands tall on its own and deserves to be taught for that reason alone. It encourages discomfort as you try something new. It encourages critical thinking as you analyze its infinite possibilities. It encourages creativity as you work to interpret a beautiful piece of music. And it encourages self-discipline and personal growth as you work to better your talents. Imagine a world where music education is another part of the daily curriculum. All students head to piano class after algebra, or choir rehearsal after lunch. A more well-rounded student body produces higher test scores, or even a higher graduation rate. In a lot of ways, we can predict its benefits, but in a lot of ways, we can't. So, I encourage you to ask yourself a single question. How can an investment in future generations, like music education, change the landscape of tomorrow?
Okay, now that you've watched the video, hopefully you understand the importance of music education. Just by the way, you are not expected to become professional musicians at the end of the semester. We merely want to teach you a few things which will hopefully develop your appreciation for music. but mainly help you understand that music develops you cerebrally for other aspects of your life. So in other words, it helps with other functions of your brain. It also helps with all different things, which was outlined in the video, which, by the way, I would like you to reflect on. So your first homework task for this subject is filling in the questions in a learning task. Okay, the learning task importance of music education should appear on your subject learning task tab. So please submit by the due date. There is a attachment and that you need to resubmit by the due date. The document should look like this. Basically, it's just asking you 5 questions. What is the overall message in this video? What does playing a musical instrument do for the brain? What is the benefit of music education for students academically? In other words, in subjects at school. In conclusion, what does music education encourage? Based on this video, how might this subject benefit you personally? So we're just trying to drill into you the importance of music education and how this subject can help you emotionally, academically, and even physically if you actually play an instrument. So I would like you to fill this sheet in, this document, download the document, fill it in, and resubmit it by the due date into the learning task titled Importance of Music Education. Thanks.